So then, this is a really interesting question to me, because in normal political calculus, you would think the Democrats would try and move to the center to try and recapture the votes, the common sense middle voters in the United States that they lost in the last election because they'd gone so extreme. What you're saying here is the Democrats seem to almost be having, you call it, Tea Party moment. They're going their own way. They're going hard left because that's what their own populist wing is going for. Are they going to become kind of Trumpy and populist, but on the left now? Is that where the Democrats are going?
That is what it looks like, James. Look, exactly. When you've had, essentially, I don't think it's an exaggeration to describe what Donald Trump has achieved or is doing here as a revolution. It is a political revolution, the likes we haven't seen this in the United States in at least 50 years, perhaps not since FDR was president. It is a radical remaking of the American political of the American political order. Now, when you have a revolution like that, a party can go, the opposition party can go two ways. It can embrace the revolution. It can say, look, the president, is the president. He's changing a lot of things. A lot of those things are popular, and therefore we have to go along and we have to kind of accommodate the revolution. Or they can say, okay, this is a revolution from this side. We're going to do a revolution. Obviously, there's an appetite out there for radical change. Well, here's our radical change. The president may be right wing. We're going to be left wing. That's the choice parties face. It's a choice. This not dissimilar to what the Democratic Party did after 1980 when Ronald Reagan was elected. It embraced, Walter Mondale, you'll remember very well, became the candidate in 1984. Now, no one would describe Walter Mondale as a socialist, but in those political terms, he was very, very liberal, very left wing. That's exactly what the Democratic Party is doing again. It rarely works. I think it looks, if they continue down this route, and I have to say, James, a lot of people I speak to in the Democratic Party are horrified by this. They are horrified by the idea that the Democratic Party, the face of the Democratic Party, is a socialist mayor of New York and a socialist member of Congress from New York. They know that people are not going to vote for those kind of policies and those kind of people in the general election. But right now, as you say, that's where all the momentum is.
Absolutely fascinating, and I'm going to be really interested to watch how this plays out between now and the next midterm elections. But I want to end on a great piece, because it is the 4th of July, it is Independence Day weekend, that you've written in the Wall Street Journal, and it's about the song America the Beautiful and Ray Charles's rendition of it, a very famous rendition from 2001. Tell us about that rendition, and why it made you, who are clearly, as Sting sang, an Englishman in New York, made you feel more grateful to live in the United States. Just your reflections on what this day and this weekend means for you living in New York and for America.
I do. Well, thanks. And again, thanks very much for referencing the column. Look, it is the 4th of July, and it's the quintessential American holiday. One of the great, America, like all countries, has great patriotic songs. One of those most famous, and I think personally my favorite patriotic song, is America the Beautiful, which speaks of amber waves of grain and sea to shining sea, very familiar lyrics. But it also, its refrain is, as written by the original author and the original writer in the 19th century, Catherine Lee Bates, is God shed his grace on thee, meaning may God shed his grace. It's a prayer. It's asking God to shed his grace on this country. And Ray Charles, the great, brilliant R&B soul singer, performer, performed this song many, many times. And he always sang it by saying, God done shed his grace on thee. In other words, as a statement of past fact, that this is a country on whose grace, on whom God has shed his grace. And it was a subtle change from the original meaning of the song. But I actually, as I thought about it, as I reflected on it, I think it is a valuable thing. God, this is a very lucky country. I know I'm careful to use that term from Australian. This is a wonderfully blessed country. It is extraordinary resources, extraordinary people, extraordinary ideals, extraordinary values. And I don't think people often enough in this country, or indeed anywhere else in the world, acknowledge that enough and don't express gratitude for that. I think gratitude is the essence, actually, of a successful life. But certainly, gratitude is something. Gratitude for the country, gratitude for the blessings this country has, is something that I think would really benefit and would perhaps take some of the kind of harsh sting out of so much of our politics if more and more people said, look, whatever may be wrong with this country, and there certainly are, no one's denying there's a lot of things wrong with it, it's very blessed. We're very fortunate, and we should express that gratitude, especially people like me as an immigrant. As you say, I came from Britain. Britain's a great country too, but I came here and I love this country, and I do believe it's particularly blessed, and I think it's important that we recognize that.
Well, as an American migrant to Australia, I think both countries could probably learn a little bit from that lesson. Gerard Baker, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you soon again here.